The glory of gardening: hands in the dirt, head in the sun, and heart with nature. Gardening doesn't just nourish the body, it also nourishes the soul. That is a quote by a man named Alfred Austin. Growing up in Middle Florida, nature and gardening have always been a big part of my life, and they've helped me a lot, in particular in the mental health aspects. And I believe they can help other kids too. But it's sad because agriculture classes are slowly declining out of our schools. So I'm here to argue the point that we need to keep agriculture in schools. So, according to agdaily.com, a study found that 80% of high school teachers surveyed think that agricultural science is important, but only 22% say it makes up any of their curriculum. And this is sad because a lot of these kids, they don't even know where their food comes from, and a lot of them just don't know the process of growing food. They don't know about pesticides and the different kinds of pesticides and what these pesticides can do to the environment. They don't know about cattle. And I think it would benefit them to learn about this stuff because they consume it. And 70% believe their children, 70% of the parents believe their children will pursue a degree in agriculture. And this is sad because I bet a lot of these kids think it's just milking cows and being on your hands and knees and picking vegetables all day long. But there's a lot more that goes into it. There's tractor driving, there's machine maintenance, there's networking and sales, and there's a lot of good job opportunities that pay high. And by the year 2050, we're going to need a 60% increase in production because to keep up with the population and demands. So I think it's a great field to get into. But more importantly for me, I think it would help these kids with mental health, especially in the time we're in. Uh, Even before COVID, mental health was declining. School shootings were happening all the time. And now that COVID's here, it's even worse. And I don't see it getting any better. But I think if we put in an agriculture class back into schools, that it would drop those numbers quite a bit. Because it did actually help me quite a bit. Um, when I was in the military, I learned that my stepdad and my mother got a divorce. So when I came back to the farm, the yard was kind of went to hell. And my first project I decided would be to fix up my garden. So I got my hoe and I went out there and started hoeing it out. And it was a lot of work. um, but to my surprise, it became my favorite part of the day. I was getting sunlight. I was focusing on a single task, which kind of makes my brain shut off when you're focusing on a single task. So you're not thinking about things that you hate or things that you like or anything really. You're just enjoying the moment. And I was connecting with nature. I went to Home Depot, got some seeds, I planted them in the ground, and I truly felt the connection. And it really made me proud to start seeing those plants grow. And it got me thinking about how these kids in school could really use an agriculture class, especially in these rural areas like down here where I think they don't take agriculture seriously. But it is serious. And it it's it helps kids socialize too because we're talking about mental health issues and these antisocial personality kids. Well, it forces them into a social environment. They're working together to accomplish a single goal, and so that's good for them. And with depression, it gets you in the sun, which gives you that melatonin, which helps with depression. But also, oh, here's my plants. This is okra, and those are peppers. And it instills a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. You know, it lets you learn that you can always learn. And one example of that is this black tarp I put down. Having a garden was a lot of trial and error, and I learned all my plants burned up because the sun was reflecting off the black tarp and making things extra hot. So I would have to use white tarp from now on. And when it came and rained, I would have to do irrigation and try and get the water to go downhill. So it's great for a growth mindset. And it also teaches delayed gratification. These kids, they put a seed in the ground, they have to take care of it, and they have to watch it grow. And if they do it correctly, they'll reap the rewards in the future. And I would like to talk about how it helps kids with ADHD. Because in the military, I actually read my first book for pleasure. It's called The Troop by Nick Cutter, and it's still my favorite book to this day. But what I learned was, and I'll get around to how this is relevant, what I learned was if you just read for 30 minutes in the morning, or 30 pages of a book instead of scrolling on Facebook in the morning, then it really affects your focus throughout the day. You can focus on a task rather than if you scroll on Facebook, you're kind of just scrolling through life. So I learned that, and I tried to read 30 minutes every morning. And I think for these ADHD kids, and I am one, I have had prescriptions to Adderall, Ritalin, Strattera, Focalin. I went to a boarding school for 3 years for kids with learning disabilities. And so I know about ADHD. And I know that getting thrown behind a desk first thing in the morning is not the right environment for concentration. But what I'm getting at is, if we take these ADHD kids and throw them into an agriculture class first thing in the morning, they're being active. And if an ADHD kid is being active, he's more apt to focus on a subject rather than if he's just behind a desk. So it's really important to, first thing in the morning, while your brain is in that programming state, to instill focus so they can carry that focus with them throughout the rest of the day. It's the same reason why you have a song you hate stuck in your head, like Justin Bieber's Baby, 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 and you don't know why it's in your head. It's because when you woke up, that was the first song you heard while your brain was in that programming state. So that's my theory, at least. And I think if we throw these ADHD kids into an agriculture class, it will throw them into a focused programming state. So I think that's very important. And these are my vegetables. I got them, a lot of peppers, and I pickled them. And I love peppers. I'm a heat head, and I gave a lot to my neighbors. It's a great way to make friends. Like I was saying, socializing. You can even join an after-school gardening club if you're into it enough. And I truly believe agriculture class isn't something that should just be in a rural environment, but also just in all schools. In the city, kids are stressed and life moves fast. And agriculture is not just for the country. I think it'll help with mental health benefits for these city kids. They can learn delayed gratification. They're getting sunlight. They're learning a hard day's work. And in the end, it's going to teach them how to be patient and how to take life slowly and smell the roses. Okay, thank you.